Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please do well to subscribe and also like this video you're about to watch. On this particular video, I'll be showing you how to do frequency separation or something other people call retouching skin. This particular image, I do not have rights to this particular image. I got it from I think on splash.com. That was where I downloaded this image from. So this is not my image. This is just for educational purposes. Just have to put that out there. If this is your first time watching a retouching video, I may not be as slow as you want me to. However, you can always rewatch over and over again, so you could keep up with my speed. But I'll try as much as I can to be as timely as possible, and also I'll try as much as I can to explain every single action that I do. If I do not, please forgive me. This is like new to me. All right, so the first thing I want to do here is, let me take this off. I'll put this here. The first thing I want to do is duplicate this layer. I need two of it. So what am I doing? So duplicate this layer, or I could just simply click on Ctrl J or Command J if you're using a Mac. Let's name this one texture. It's not necessary you name. Let's name this one highlights, just to differentiate between the two layers. Okay, so like I said, it's not necessary you rename the layers. It's just to recognize which is which. The naming doesn't change anything. So first thing you want to do is add blur to this particular layer. Gaussian blur, that is. So what determines the radius for your blur, for the Gaussian blur? For me, you want to blur the image to the points that you can no longer see the texture. So let's take it to the place where she has acne. Alright, so at this particular point, you want to blur until you're unable to see the acne to a reasonable point. This is 36. I think 36 works. Here we can at 11 radius we can still see the acne. So you want to blur until you can no longer see the acne. Not extreme. No, this is extreme. So let's come back. Let's do 37. This works. I say that to say that the radius for frequency separation, the radius for frequency separation is not always constant. So it depends on the image you're working on. So on this one, I think, you know what, let's go to a safe place at 40, 42. We can no longer see the blemishes, and I think this is a great place. The next thing you want to do is take this down and bring the other layer forward. What do we want to do? We simply want to apply, go down to highlights. So we are taking the texture from highlights, from this, you know, I think I named this wrongly, but I hope that you understand. We are taking the texture from this guy here, then we go to separate, subtract. This is a figure you want to impute to, and the offsets at 128. Now when we've done that, we come here to change it to linear light, so it goes back to normal. Now we can start retouching the skin. You may want to duplicate this layer. It's not necessary. The reason basically is so that after duplicating this layer, you want to clip it on this. A short way to do it is simply to hold Shift and Alt, and it's to bring up this sign, and then you can click on it. Then it clips. It simply means that whatever effect whatever you do on this layer is going to reflect on this layer. Whatever you do here you sorry, whatever you do here, you only want it to be visible within this layer. It won't affect this, neither will it affect this one under. Just this one is clipped on. Is either you do it that way, or you can simply right click and create clipping mask. When you do this, then you do the same thing for this guy. I'm going to duplicate this layer, pressing Ctrl J or Command J on a Mac, and you can see that it's looking too sharp, extremely sharp and distorted. What you want to do is return back to normal. When you return it back to normal, then you clip it on it. When you clip it on it, it returns back to normal. This is because so we are basically duplicating these layers because we want, so that in a case where we make a mistake, we can easily delete this layer, if we made a mistake here, just simply delete it and start again without having to go from the beginning, having to start again from Gaussian blur and all that stuff. So I'm simply going to click on Control Z to go back to undo the deleting that I made. Alright, so we will start retouching. What do we use in retouching? We want to use mixed brush tool. So this is my setting. Yours may vary depending on the result you want to achieve. Let's take this up to 60. Let's work with 65 here. Let's work with 65. Maybe let's do 70 here for my flow. To increase your, I think you should be able to do this. So I'm not going to do this as though I'm teaching a newbie. I think this is for an intermediate person. So we want to start brushing. Now, how do we brush? We simply brush the highlights within the highlights region and brush the shadows within the shadow region. You do not brush the shadows into your highlights, and you do not brush your highlights into your shadows. Let's take for instance, this is the highlight here. If you brush it into your shadow, you are distorting the image, you're distorting the look. So you want to brush within your shadows and brush within your highlights, and then find the mid-tone and brush within that area so the image looks is not distorted. The best way to do that, to teach you that, for you to understand is, or for it to be easy for you to do, simply go to your black and white panel, and then reduce the reds. We want the image, we need the image to be dark, so there is contrast. I think this is, let's leave this at 20. So it's dark enough. Now we can see our highlights. Our highlights are the parts that are lit up. This area of our nose, this part of our forehead, these are the highlights. The dark sides are what we call the shadows. This side of our face, this side of our face, underneath her chin, this is a shadow. So we are going to brush the shadows and then brush the highlight and find the mid-tone somewhere around here. And so let's go. So remember, we are not brushing on the black and white panel. No, the black and white layer is just to help us see clearly the highlights and also differentiate the highlights from the shadows. So we are brushing on the highlights on this layer. So let's start. I want to start here. Brush this. This is highlights. You want to brush the shadows on its own. There's a mid-tone here. Brush the mid-tone. So you don't brush this into this. You don't brush this into this. It's distorted already. So I'm going to click on Ctrl Z. Great. Alright, reduce here. There's a shadow here. You want to brush gently. I want to do that again. This highlight and reduce the brush to brush the shadows. So just follow me. So I may just have to fast forward this part of the video just so we save time. This is a mid-tone area. Okay, so let's see the results. To help us really see the results, you may want to group these layers and uncheck before and after, before and after. So we've made great change. Now I'm going to be really specific to see these areas, mid-tones in these areas, make sure they're well brushed out. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm done with retouching. The next thing we want to do is take out the blemishes, the acnes, and every other irregularities on the skin. And to do that, I'm going to be using my clone stamp tool. If I'm yes, clone stamp tool, or you could simply press the S key on your keyboard. So for this, I'm going to zoom in a little. I advise not to zoom in too much like this because nobody zooms into images to view them. I mean, anybody who sees an amazing image, acknowledges it from a distance. So it's from that distance that you should, you know, do what you have to do. The words that I need to say are not coming, so, but I hope that you understand. All right, so I'm going to take out the blemishes right now. To do that, if you know how to use your clone stamp tool, you want to click on Alt and then select a fine area. This area is fine, and then you start brushing and taking out the acnes. So I may have to do this really fast because I do not want this video to exceed 15 minutes or 20 max. So I may just put this on fast forward. Okay, I'm finally done with taking out the blemishes. Now let's see the before and after. This is before. Zoom this out so it's more visible. This is after. This is before This is after. We have really come a long way. So the next thing I want to do after this is what we call dodge and burn. And the fastest way for me to dodge and burn is to use my curve tool. So what we simply do is dodge the shadows, dodge the highlights and burn the shadows. That is to say, the regions that are very bright, which are the highlights, we are going to dodge that part and make it more visible and pronounced. And the regions that are dark, like these angles, the shadows, you burn those areas to make it a little darker, so we can have a really distinct and conspicuous image, so it doesn't look flat. The reason why we dodge and burn is so that the image doesn't look flat, to make it look a little bit three-dimensional, if I may use that phrase. So I want to, for my burn layer, I want to reduce this, make it darker, and then duplicate the layer using Ctrl J, and then for my dodge I want to increase it. Now when I do that, I could just call this dodge and call the other one burn. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to inverse. I don't know if that's the word, or no, yes, inverse. I think that's the word. You want to inverse this layer, and how do you do that? You simply click on Ctrl I. Do the same here, Ctrl I, and the image returns back to normal, so that if I uncheck this, it has no effect until we start dodging and burning. That's when we start to see effects. So put that back on. And another thing to help you with dodge and burn is also this black and white layer. If you click on this, it shows you the parts you want to dodge. So you want to dodge these areas, you want to dodge these areas, the bright parts, this area, this triangular area. You want to dodge this area of her nose that's bright. You want to dodge this area to create distinction, and then you want to burn these areas. You want to burn these areas. You want to burn these areas somewhere around here, and maybe under here, and that's all. So let's get that done. And to do that, we are going to be using our brush tool, and then you want to reduce the opacity. You want to reduce the flow to say 4 or 5. Let's do 4, or let's do 5. Okay, and then we can start to dodge. So let's dodge first. I say you want to dodge the bright areas, so let's do this. Simply paint on it. You can see the effect. Let's turn that off and turn it on. You can see the effect. I think the effect is too much. We may have to reduce the opacity, but let's keep going. After, before and after, before and after. Okay, I think this is great. Let's do 65. All right, there's a difference before and after. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to add detail to the skin, even though I think it already has details, just so you learn. So I want to duplicate this layer, the original layer, take it up. You can see the original layers, they have the blemishes. Next thing I want to do is go to other, filter, then other, and then is it high pass? Yes, high pass. So you can see details, right? This is what we want on her skin. So 1% is great. Then we come here and change the layer to linear light. Now let's see the difference. This is the before. I'll zoom that in for you. This is before, and this is after. Before, after. the change is really subtle. So we want to paint this only onto her face, because this change we just made also affected her hair and every single part of our of this image. So we only want this effect on her skin. So to do that, we have to use the masking tool, holding so to do this, I'm going to hold Alt and click on the masking tool so that I can brush in. Then get our brush and increase my flow to back to 100 because I need it. I need everything. Now we paint in. So I'm going to fast forward this. I hope you understand what I'm doing. We are not doing that for our eyes. We are not doing that for her lips also, just the skin, because we really do not care about the texture of her lips. Not like we don't care, but it's not necessary. Okay, we are not also doing that. We are not also brushing her lashes, neither are we brushing her brows, because we don't need that. We are only doing this for skin and not for any other component of the face, just for skin. Her nose also. Okay, before and after. All right, so the next thing I would love to do is use my selective color just to add changes to the color of her skin. So let's start with reds. So I'm simply going to, you know, I'm simply going to do what works for my eyes and also how I think her skin should be. Maybe I want to add a little yellows to this. Okay, and the blacks, maybe I do not want much contrast. Well, let's see, let's do 10. I think 10 works. Sometimes I like to play with this to see what works. Let's do this -10. Okay, I think this is fair enough. Now let's go to our yellows, and I think I don't want it reddish. I don't want it reddish. Let's do -7. Oh, let's do -10. -10 is fine. For this I want to do 15. No, that's too much. So we're simply working with our eyes here. Whatever works for you may be different from what works for me at the end of the day. This is where your own creativity comes in. This is where you also put your signature look. This is how you create your signature look, so that when someone sees an image, they can, say, oh, this is how this person or this photographer's work look like. This is how you create a style for yourself. Whatever works for your eyes may not be what works for my eyes, so do well to explore. So this is the before and this is the after. I may want to reduce that to maybe 80%. Okay. Next thing I would love to do is maybe play with my levels. I think it's bright enough. It's bright enough, but let's see if I want to add to the blacks. No, let's leave it just at 4. I think I'm good at 4. And what else do I want to do? I think this works. So let's see the before of everything. Let me group this and call this grading or color grading. So let's turn everything off and see where we came from. So this is where we started from. This was when we did the frequency separation. This is when we did the dodge and burn. I think my dodge and burn was still too much. I want to take that to 50%. This was when we added dodge and burn, and then this was where we color graded. You may also want to play with the black and white panel and change that to luminosity. This simply is to, if you want to make the skin darker or brighter, you want the colors to be darker or brighter, this is basically a quick way to do it without having to use camera raw. So you can see that the reds are getting darker. I mean, it depends on the result you want to achieve. At the end of the day, you can see now it's brighter. So whatever result you want to achieve, this is a tool you can make use of. We started with 40, so let's say let's drop it to say 30. Okay, 30 works. A little darker, and then let's do 55 here. So we can see if I turn that off, it was bright. I turn it off, now it looks a little dramatic. So whatever result you're going for determines how you grade your image. So I think you may also want to, I think I just have to stop the video here so it's not longer than 20 minutes. So this is our before and this is our after. So I hope that you've been able to learn something from this video. If you enjoyed this video, please do well to like and also share, and please do well to subscribe to my channel, as I'll be dropping a video every day going forward. I hope I'm able to come through on this promise. So I'll be dropping a video every day on this channel, so please do well to follow me or do well to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.